Today, I had the profound privilege to speak with Lance King, CEO of Cyberlandr, and Joe Justice, the new Agile King at Cyberlandr. These two gentlemen are two of my favorite people on the planet, and getting to talk to both of them about their passion and their vision was a real treat. Let's take a look. Joe, what's up?
Wonderful to see you, John. Awesome to see you right now, Lance. Your background looks like the future.
Yes, it does.
A whole bunch of people's future. So,
Yeah.
Where are you? I have to start with that. Where?
I just flew from Munich, so sorry, I'm jet lagged.
I'm
I will
sure.
do my best to be chipper and happy. I'm actually in Salt Lake, which is where Lance spent a lot of time before. I'm actually in Salt Lake for Northrop Grumman, doing some sessions with their rocketry group and also aerospace, so also aviation planes.
Wow, super.
So I'll actually go in very soon to their campus after this.
Right.
I'll record a thesis interview for some academic research that wants to cite about Agile hardware, get more good data out in academia right after this, and then a prep session for Mercedes-Benz Leadership Summit, and then go teach day 2 of the hardware course at Northrop Grumman, which is a very similar content to what I intend to use with Lance and Cyberlandr's production ramp. Is the intention. So these courses, I hope, only hone my ability to actually execute it for Cyberlandr. But well, that's fine. How the heck are you, John?
I'm doing great. I want to say congratulations to both of you. I've already said congratulations to Lance. I haven't had a chance to say congratulations to you, but this is absolutely amazing news that the two of you have teamed up. I heard I had a very small part to do with this, actually, because I made an initial connection, but that makes me very happy.
Not small, John. Not small.
So, but yeah, so I think Lance actually said before we started this, he said, let's maybe do, because I know you just have a few minutes and you're a very busy person, but he said maybe a little brief, like why does Cyberlandr want Joe? And then we can say, why does Joe want Cyberlandr? So we can start with that. So we can maybe start with Lance and have you give us a little talk about that. So Lance, why do you want Joe Justice?
It's really interesting. We don't want to just make an innovative product. We want to be innovating in all levels. We want to be innovative in manufacturing. And, if you look at Tesla was originally best known for making electric cars. Soon they will be best known for bringing self-driving cars to the world, right? But ultimately, what they will be best known for is having changed manufacturing, not just in the auto industry, but across every manufacturer in the world that does anything high volume. If you go back to 1908, Cadillac shocked the world when they had enough precision to introduce interchangeable parts. And they did it in the middle of a race. They pulled a couple of cars apart, put them back together, and they still ran, right? Nobody had seen that.
Right.
Well, that was 1908. And by 1913, Henry Ford had taken that innovation and made the assembly line possible. And that brought down the cost of a car by an order of magnitude and forced not just the auto industry, but every manufacturer to change to assembly line manufacturing. That held for about 80 years until W. Edwards Deming's Total Quality Control changed Toyota. They came up with the Toyota production system, and that forced not just the auto industry, but every manufacturer to adopt that or perish. And now Tesla's doing the same thing with agile manufacturing. And you will have to switch to that or you will disappear. You will not be able to compete. And so we thought, okay, if we're going to innovate with the product, let's innovate with the manufacturing and every other area we can. And that means agile. And Joe is the agile guy. So of course we want Joe. And we're just thrilled that he's excited to join us.
Awesome. That works for me. All right. Yeah, there we go. So Joe, flip the script. You've been living the life of traveling the world and consulting and all of this kind of stuff, What is it about Cyberlandr that got you thinking like maybe Austin, Texas isn't so bad?
Oh, well, one, I'm beginning to love a handlebar mustache and Western hats and boots. So that's only there's a fashion driver that's very important.
There you go. Did you see my preview video yesterday? Because I actually had a cowboy hat on for a moment.
You are amazing, John. Let's collaborate more and more and more as these things. Maybe we can have like a weekly or monthly production update brought to you by John.
Oh, I like that. That's actually awesome. I would love to do that.
I've been looking for a factory since I sold mine in 2019. And I did stand up a factory in the meantime. The weather, I did it in the California desert where I had great solar. Some of you saw even some YouTube videos of that. The weather was really intense. The sand in the high winds would really sting your skin and eyes. And I realized I was coping with the weather so much, I wasn't getting very much done. My utilization, my effectiveness was low. So I swung for the polar opposite and worked full remote from Hawaii. And I've been doing that for nearly 2 years now. And I miss being in the production facility very much. So I was hunting for a production facility that I could call home. And I'll likely still remain traveling. I'm joining Cyberlandr in an advisory role. But it truly would be a home in many ways. So I was looking for a production facility. And my eventual goal is space housing. When Musk says, spread the light of consciousness out among the stars, that's it. So as insane to say, my long-term ambition for Stream It and Cyberlandr might be even longer term than Lance is currently entertaining.
Right.
But I'm truly looking for, if you imagine a Cyberlandr with even more of the innovations that Lance has planned in orbit. Right. That's I think part of the reason I'm alive is to try to attempt towards those kinds of things. And some of you have already heard that I'm saving up for a Starship launch right now. I'm trying to aggregate about $100 million US to buy out a Starship launch. And what I hope it's full of is a bunch of what Cyberlandr grows into being. So to deploy in a chain like a Starlink chain, but of homes.
Wow.
Now seeing some of Lance's future product visions, some of the product roadmap, I said, this is the most near to my ambition, my deep passion, my possibly unattainable, but deep passion, space housing. And I saw nowhere else where the materials chosen, the techniques chosen, the teams chosen, the technologies inside chosen were more compatible anywhere. And I said, if I could pick, I'd be part of Stream It. I would be involved in this product roadmap and append my dream product roadmap to it as it grows. First, you got to execute wonderfully on the initial breakthrough product on Cyber.
Right.
And provided that that's done in a way that the market loves it, then I get to have my cake and eat it too. So I was drawn to Cyberlandr like a magnet.
Awesome.
To fulfill my eventual goal of space housing.
That's awesome. And I know I'm going to tease this because I think Lance and I are going to have a chat sometime in the next couple of weeks about a next product, actually a previous product that is a next product. So anyway, but more about housing, because your vision is much bigger than what's behind you. That's, product number one, but there's a roadmap and it's very exciting. So yeah.
There was a project that inspired Cyberlandr, but preceded it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a future episode.
But you can see how, the audience can start to see how Joe and Cyberlandr are really aligned. I love that you have this passion about people living off the planet, and it's a huge amount of work. Habitation is critically important for anything that's not Earth, because you can't leave it. That's pretty much what you get. You get to live in your habitation all the time unless you have a spacesuit on. So, yes, that
very best thing about. Sorry, John.
The very best
thing about a house is also the very worst thing about it, and it's that permanence. It locks you down to a location, right?
Right.
And that has held back so much human growth because, oh, we're stuck in this spot, we can't move, kind
Right.
of thing. And if you can have the best of both worlds, you probably ought to. So,
Right. It's fascinating. I love the Fall of Civilizations. It's a podcast, and I listen to these incessantly. And I just finished the Sumerian one, and they built walls to hold themselves in and giant things. It didn't work. It's like there is something to say about a more flexible life pattern where you can get out and you can go other places. And what's right behind you, the Cyberlandr, is perfect. I mean, it's just, yeah, there you go. I mean, you take a Cybertruck, you put a camper on the back of it, and I think, Joe, in the press release, you said, this is more Cyberlanders have been pre-ordered than the entire pop-up camper market for 2021 or something like that, if I'm remembering correctly. It's incredible. It's disrupting the idea of what is a camper. I think that's incredible.
it's not just disrupting what is a camper, it's disrupting what is a car.
Yes. Yes.
If you look at the future of the automobile, and I don't think a lot of people understand this yet, on the path we're on, there are basically two paths. We end up with autonomous vehicles, and you don't own a car anymore because they're just so cheap and readily available that you don't need a car. So what would prompt you to buy a car? Well, what will prompt you to buy a car is a car that supports your lifestyle. This one lets you take your kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom, and office with you anywhere and everywhere you go. But there will be others. There will be vehicles that focus on supporting a contractor's work life or a surfer's hobby. And that's where the future is. The future is not so much in performance models of cars, it's in lifestyle models of cars. And we're just the ones leading that.
Right. That's a fascinating way to think about it. It is something where you think about, like, when you start getting this vision of having robo-taxis and not owning cars anymore, it's about what can you get that's a unique value out of a vehicle. Because otherwise, if you just need to get from point A to point B, yeah, sure, just get in the robotaxi. But if you want super high performance, then sure, there'll be cars that'll do that, like the Model S Plaid. If you want lifestyle, there'll be something like the Cybertruck with the Cyberlandr. If you want, a portable home like a turtle, you can go anywhere. Not like a turtle, though, because it'll be really fast. But yeah, I don't know. And I know you have to go very shortly, Joe. Do you have any final words for us in terms of your thoughts? Like, what are you most excited about working on? And I know it's Agile, and that's going to be fantastic. And I want to talk to you more about that later, in a separate chat perhaps. But what are you most excited about working with Cyberlandr in particular in the near term?
I read Lance's book, Democracy 2.0, what's necessary for democracy to endure and grow and spread another 200 years. And one of the fundamental themes was the idea of being self-sufficient so that you don't have to rely on nanny care systems as a trade for your liberties. So you can maintain your liberties because of a self-sufficiency. And then you can accept support because you choose to accept support. You're not dependent, especially as a trade for liberties. And Cyberlandr, there's a lot that hasn't been seen yet by all of the public, and will become more and more obvious, especially as the first few people take possession and are reporting on their experiences with it, that truly enables a level of self-sufficiency, if for those who may be interested, that is completely new. And the amount of sustainable lifestyle, that's probably not the right word. When I say sustainable, people probably think of composting trash bags, which is part of the story, but that's not what I'm saying. Right. Like from the possible kitchen knife set to the way the seats fold and extend simultaneously to make an extremely comfortable Tokyo style hotel room, where you have a lavish, if small, space, right? Enables for you to say, I don't think I need to rent an office, or maybe even I don't think I need to own a condo. And really, you're a mailbox away from whatever you like. And with the solar that's on there now, extending the amount of time you're able to stay at the beach or stay in the mountains or backcountry is phenomenal. And with possible augmentations to that, augmentations to that, potentially stay out indefinitely. So with Lance being keenly aware and driven in part by independence, endurability, self-sustainability, as a political, if not even lifestyle ethos, right? So it's core. And then my wish to eventually have space housing. I'm so excited about extending Cyberlandr's already prodigious ability to support a lifestyle off-grid for longer and longer amounts of time. Because if you think of a camper, right, something that most of us can wrap our heads around. I mean, the idea is actually much better than that, but we can start with the idea of a camper.
Right.
And then you allow it to be self-sufficient longer and longer with recycled gray water, et cetera, longer and longer and longer and longer. What you eventually get is an extremely comfortable hotel room, which can be your office, your meeting space, but with a full kitchen. That maybe eventually you never have to leave. I mean, you'll have to add in some additional systems, but the product roadmap goes towards that. Well, then you have your space house, right? Sure. Then you have components that are useful for the Mars colony that SpaceX is intending to make, where it's, if the shipments stop coming for any reason,
right,
the colony perpetuates, right? Well, I'm a modular architecture person. A useful module of that is Streamit's product roadmap. And that's what I'm most passionate about. What I actually think I'll be directly doing is sleeping on the shop floor in a sleeping bag and being part of production. I mean, Elon Musk sleeps at the bottleneck, and Elon Musk does the work in mob. And what I aspire to be is Streamit's Elon Musk, the person sleeping on a sleeping bag. Now, luckily, I think Lance and I have enough overlapping core vision that decisions made when either of us are away, because whoever's on the production floor, that's the decision that actually goes into the product.
Right.
And you don't want to wait. So right, if I happen to be there and Lance isn't, or if Lance happens to be there and I'm not, I mean, let me be clear, I'm not engaging as a co-owner, I'm engaging right, as a advisor.
Right.
But just because of who's there, decisions will be made without each other. Luckily, right, our core visions, I think, are aligned enough that I think the product will only improve as a result.
Yeah, Joe will be a co-owner because all of our team members are co-owners, right? We want everybody to have a stake in the company.
Right. That's the rising tide lifts all boats philosophy is a good philosophy. So yeah. That's great. I mean, how exciting is that? I'm super excited. Yeah, it's very interesting because I've known both of you more or less the same amount of time, but in very different environments. And it's really cool because you're two of my favorite people. And then to like combine you, it's like, this is like my happiest day. So I get to talk to both of you about this. And I just think the vision is super exciting. And by the way, I will leave a link to your book. I saw that Joe announced that on LinkedIn. I have not had a chance to read it myself, but it's on the docket because that's a very exciting, I love the vision of how do we maintain liberties and democracy and everything?
Thank you. It did make it to #1 on the Kindle political list a few times.
Nice.
So it has been a bestseller, and most people who read it seem to really like it. So I think it's worth the effort. I put a lot of effort into making it a small book because I know nobody wants to read a long book on a political topic, right, and there's no ranting in it. So.
It's more just laying it out. All right, Joe, I know you are a super busy guy and you have to move on and start talking to other people the rest of the day. Thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time, and Lance, of course, as well. And for everybody, check out Cyberlandr. Gosh, I don't even know about the investing opportunities, but is there, can people invest, or is this still very private?
Not currently. I mean, we can take large investors. Our Start Engine campaign closed a few months back, and that was to let our enthusiasts and customers have a chance to get in early, and they've done that. So, we're still looking for large investors, like most any growing company is. So there's always that opportunity, but unfortunately, not smaller investments right now.
But on the other hand, you can order one. So I think it's you can just go on cyberlandr.com and get yourself a pre-reservation and add to the list. So there you go. So that way you can be part of the journey from the beginning, whether or not you're a big investor or a small investor. So there you go. All right. Thank you, gentlemen, both so much. I really appreciate it. And everybody have a wonderful day.
Okay. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye.